9 things your car hates.
Hi, I'm Ivan.
I'm Nick.
And this is the DIY Detail Podcast. Today we're going to go into things your car may not enjoy from detailing. Things that some people do, and your car, like I said, doesn't enjoy it as much as you think it does.
Ivan, between us, we have 50 odd years of detailing experience, and it only takes one day of detailing to realize this is a problem. And I learned this doing mobile detailing in direct sunlight. Whether it's your paint or your interior plastics and vinyl, heat, Ivan, is the detailing enemy.
Right. And heat, actually temperature, because cold is just as bad as heat in a lot of ways. But maintaining a close to normal, good room temperature is important for a lot of things. First of all, let's talk about paint. If your paint gets hot, it's damaging to the paint. And that can be from, just being out in the sunshine. That is not great for your paint. And then extreme temperature changes. So you've got a very hot paint and then you throw cold water on it. That is going to damage the paint. That's going to hurt the paint in long term. And any protection that you have on it, be a coating, a wax, a sealant, it's going to fracture that, or it's going to try to fracture that, meaning it's not going to help it. Another way detailers generate heat is by polishing. And polishing, when you're generating heat from polishing, that was really good back in the lacquer days. We haven't had lacquer on cars for at least 40 years now. So lacquer paints enjoyed heat. Today's resin paint based systems do not enjoy heat. Heat is a very, very bad thing for your paint. Now, interiors, same thing. Excessive use of steam is not good on your interior. Excessive heat, and that heat can come from temperature. So what's the temperature outside? But there's another thing that creates heat. And we don't look at it as heat, but people consider some chemicals hot chemicals. And that's another point. That is caustic or overly aggressive chemical use.
So that would be another one, is harsh chemicals. And I don't want to get to number 2 yet, because you mentioned resin and lacquer, and you've already lost a good chunk of the audience. What the heck is paint?
Okay.
What is the lacquer paint? What is the resin? Remember, there are beginners listening to this who are trying to learn from your wisdom, and they don't know all the fancy terms.
Lacquer paint is an old paint system. It's something that we used to have. And lacquer paint was naturally sourced, if I could put it that way. The resin was lacquer, part of a tree, and that is what held the paint together and the color and all that fun stuff. Now we use a plastic instead. And that lacquer paint benefited from heat. Today's plastic-based paints, so acrylic-based paints, do not benefit from heat. And that heat is something that was ingrained in us old guys from polishing lacquer paints back in the 60s and 70s and even before that. We don't have those anymore. Unless you're dealing with an original painted car from the 60s, there's a good chance it's not a lacquer paint. And that lacquer paint, and single stage paint doesn't mean lacquer paint. So we have an evolution in paint. We had lacquer paints, then we went to the acrylic based paints, which were single stage. Then we went to base coat, clear coat. The acrylic based paints and the base coat, clear coat, which is what we have on today's cars, does not appreciate getting hot. And when we're polishing, people say, well, yeah, my car's out in the sun. It's getting hotter than the panel when I polish it. Yes, it's getting hotter when it's out in the sun. But that's that whole panel getting hot and that whole panel cooling down, as opposed to a 6-inch diameter circle trying to aggressively not only heat the paint, but rip it off the surface. That is where paint does not enjoy being heated up.
And when you say base coat, clear coat, the base coat is the color. The clear coat is literally a clear coat of that essentially plastic.
Yeah, exactly. So think of it as, if we want to simplify it, we use crayons on a piece of paper. That gives us color. Then we take a piece of saran wrap and put it over top.
Okay. There's a lot to talk about. If you want to learn more about polishing paint, I'm going to put a link in the description. So don't go now, but in the description, there's a link on how to polish paint. Very popular video of ours. I highly encourage you watching it. Let's talk about harsh chemicals, because sometimes the viewpoint from a detailer standpoint is it's a nasty vehicle, especially when you start detailing, you're likely to get a lot of nasty cars. It's funny. The better your skills get, the more you end up charging, the more discerning your clientele,
Yeah.
the more likely you're just going to get clean new cars. But when you first start out and anyone
Right.
wants to know how to do this, so let's learn how to do nasty cars, you're going to think, I need a harsh chemical to do the job right. Harsh chemicals, Ivan.
Yeah, harsh chemicals are not necessary. And there's a trend these days of using harsh chemicals as a pre-treat to cleaning. It's the contact wash that's doing the work. So you don't need a super, very low pH acid and a super high pH caustic cleaner to pre-treat your surface when you're going to be washing it anyways with a contact wash. It's the contact wash that's doing the work in all those cases. So you don't need those harsh chemicals. Again, the contact wash is what's doing the work. Now, the harsh chemicals, they're not good for you as a human being. As the detailer, they're really not good for you. Next, they're not good for the paint. And they're definitely not good for the rubbers, the plastics, the chrome, the glass, all those things. There's a lot of products that say don't spray on glass because it's going to actually permanently etch the glass. If you have aftermarket wheels, there's a good chance some of those harsh chemicals are going to damage those wheels. Factory finish, maybe not, but the aftermarket wheels, definitely. So stay away from something that has a very low or very high pH. It's not worth the risk, and it's not worth the time, and it's not going to get you a better result. And if you're cleaning your car on a regular basis, if you're listening to this podcast, you're a subscriber, and if you're not a subscriber, you should be, please subscribe. But if you're a subscriber to this channel, there's a good chance you're maintaining your car on a regular basis anyways. And if you're maintaining it on a regular basis, you definitely do not need any form of harsh chemical in your lineup.
Yeah, some people want to use All Clean, which is our all-purpose cleaner, and we say dilute it 15-1. Somebody
Right.
once used it 3-1 on wheels, Ivan. I don't know who that was. Anyway, but
That would have
15
been
to
you.
1.
Yeah.
15-1 is how we recommend using it on your wheels and your tires and as a bug gut remover. But some people are like, well, should I pre-treat my vehicle with All Clean, at least on the lower panels, and then rinse it off and then, add my wash media, like, my Incredible Suds or my rinseless wash, my wash solution. And it's like, if you are maintaining your vehicle, there's no need to do that. On an extremely dirty vehicle, you can pre-treat the lowers, but really All Clean at 15-1, that's the strongest we want you to dilute it ever, is great just for wheels, tires, and bug guts.
Yeah, at this point on our YouTube channel, we've detailed at least 200 vehicles. And out of those 200 vehicles, we might have used an All Clean pre-treat, 2-3 times? One was one was very, very covered in mud. Another one was so greasy that we needed something to cut through the grease. And again, those caustic chemicals that people are using, acidic chemicals, acids do not cut through grease. So if you have a greasy vehicle and the first thing you're spraying on is an acid-based cleaner, it's not going to do anything for you. So you need to respect a system. You need to have a logic in how you're doing things. But at the same time, ask yourself, do I really need to use this? It's like getting out a sledgehammer when you could just use a screwdriver to put the screw in. You can drive a screw using a sledgehammer. It's not going to end well. Same thing. You can start with a harsh chemical, but only step up to a harsh chemical if you need it. And that's especially important on the interior of the car. Those plastics, those carpets, those leathers are extremely sensitive. You don't want to use harsh chemicals on an interior. Our interior clean and protect is my favorite interior cleaner, followed by rinseless wash. Interior clean and protect has one superpower, and that is it leaves an anti-static barrier behind. It's not going to leave it glossy. It's not going to leave it shiny. It leaves it anti-static, which means you need to clean it less often. The less often you feel you need to clean your interior, the longer it's going to last, the safer it's going to be.
I'd say 99% of the people out there respect you, Ivan, and look at you as a detailing guru. And then there's like a small minority that's like, this guy's a hack. He doesn't know what he's talking about. If you're in that minority, the one thing I want you to listen to is what Ivan just told you about interiors. Do whatever you want in exteriors. You want to pre-treat with All Clean at every wash, be my guest, right? Just when it comes to interiors, stop using the heavy-duty cleaners. When you first showed me that a rinseless wash damp baton, if you don't know rinseless wash, it's our 256 to 1, hyper concentrated solution. So you just use 1 ounce of this product in 2 gallons of water. So it's great for exteriors and interiors. But you just take your wash bucket essentially, put a microfiber towel in there, squeeze it until it's barely dripping at all, basically until it's totally wrung out, and use that to wipe down your interior.
As dry as possible.
As dry as possible. Wipe down your interior with that and see what happens. Try that first before you reach for the all-purpose cleaner on the inside. I'm just telling you, like, it blew my mind how really starting with your least aggressive chemical first on the interior actually works great.
Yeah, definitely. Next in line, Nick.
Yeah, you might need to be a reconditioning specialist to fix a whoopsie, and you're probably not that on an interior. So be careful with the harsh chemicals on interiors. Pressure is something that your car hates, Ivan. What does that even mean?
Well, pressure being from you exerting pressure when you're polishing, from using a pressure washer that has too much pressure. Those are things that can damage your vehicle. Now, in the automotive world, the established norm is around 1,000 PSI and 2 gallons per minute for a pressure washer. And that's safe on just about every surface. And we have people, every time we use the pressure washer, we show the pressure washer in a video, we get people commenting, never use a pressure washer on paint. Those are people that probably use a gas-powered pressure washer, putting out 3,000 or 4,000 PSI. Yes, that is going to damage paint. So we want to stay away from pressure. When we're polishing, we want to stay away from pressure as well, because pressure creates heat. We already talked about heat, how it's negative to paint. Pressure on your polisher creates heat. It's hard on the paint, it's hard on the polisher, it destroys the pads. There's a lot of things. Another area where pressure is not a good thing is pad cleaning. Some people will use a pressurized air, so compressed air, or the pressure washer to clean their pads. As a product manufacturer, we love when you do that because you're going to be blowing through pads faster than you need to. But we're telling you not to do that. We want you to use less pads. We want your pads to last for 10, 15, 20 cars. Maintain them properly. Don't use pressure when you're polishing, and don't use a pressure washer or compressed air to clean them. They're going to last much longer.
On the list, number 4, your car hates the scratch pass car wash, the tunnel wash, Ivan. What you're blowing people's minds here. I think a vast majority, if not 99.9% of the people out there, wash their car this way. They just drive through a tunnel. They got no time. Life is busy. Yep. It beats having a dirty car.
Correct. It beats having a dirty car. But your car doesn't necessarily like that. Now, there are cases where a car wash can be a good thing. In the winter, it's too cold. When we mentioned heat, cold is not any better. So if your products are freezing on you, they're not working properly. Below 50 degrees, you really shouldn't be detailing. It's not good for the products. It's not good for the vehicle. That said, in the winter, your car is caked with salt. Take it through a touch-free car wash at that point. You still don't want those brushes on the car. So car washes have evolved. They're much better than they were 5 years ago, for that matter. They keep getting better. If you want to or you need to take your car through a car wash, evaluate the car wash before. Look at their brushes. Just go stand outside the car wash and look in. And a lot of them are glass now, so you can see the whole operation from outside. And just take a look at the brushes. Do they have air or sprayers spraying down the brushes as they're going around? A very good car wash will have slow-moving brushes, and they'll have a series of pressure washer nozzles cleaning the brush. So as it's coming back around on your vehicle, it's completely cleaned off. So those are things you want to look at. We have the old nylon brushes, which they did a great job of scratching your car. They did an okay job of cleaning. Now they're using what looks like wetsuit material or neoprene on the higher end car washes. Those are much safer. The touch-free car washes are not necessarily always better. We mentioned harsh chemicals. That's how they're cleaning your car. They're using harsh chemicals and excessive pressure. Both those things we already mentioned, not a good thing to use. So they're doing that. Plus, they're not really cleaning your car that well. You need the contact wash to clean your car. But in the winter, to get that salt off, to get that grit off, it's a good idea. And you can also go to a coin-op car wash. Those are safer as long as you don't use their brush that has been hanging on the wall and we don't know what's happened to it. And they're normally not a high quality brush. So,
Ivan, this may sound so self-explanatory, but the flip side of It's better to have a clean car, even if you go through the scratch pass, even though it's maybe scratching your paint up. The flip side of that is your car does hate dirt. It does hate being dirty. And that's not just a joking thing to sell you car wash chemicals because we're a detailing company. Why does your car actually hate being dirty?
So a car that is maintained, that is kept clean, will have less contamination on it. And contamination is the big bully, the hard thing in the room here, because what happens is you get that dirt on the paint through heat and sun and all that fun stuff. That dirt attaches itself to the paint and actually works its way. It can work its way into the paint because remember, we're dealing with the plastic. So you have that little shard of grit that is getting in there, getting down, and it's just working its way down into the paint. And you see a lot of cars. You can go to a shopping mall, walk the aisles of the shopping mall, not inside, walk the parking lot. It's a lot more fun. You get to see different cars and a lot of fun things, and it doesn't cost you anything. But at the same time, you'll see cars that the top sides of the car, literally the paint is flaking off or the clear coat is flaking off. It looks terrible. But you'll see another car beside it that's the same age that the paint is looking good. That's the difference between maintaining and not maintaining your paint. And if you leave dirt on your car too long, the dirt works its way into the paint and starts degrading that paint. So we say to wash your car on a regular basis, every 2 weeks at a minimum. Try to wash it every week if you can. And Nick, you mentioned going to the car wash to save time. If you develop a good, solid wash routine, it will take you less time to wash your car at home than it does going to the car wash, waiting in line, even though there's one person in front of you going through the car wash and driving back home. So knowing how to wash is important. Knowing when to wash as often as you can. You don't need to wash every day, but once a week, once every 2 weeks is good. And once every 3, 6, 12 months, depending on how your vehicle is driven, stored, etc., you want to decontaminate your paint. Contamination is something that doesn't come off through washing, and it's something that degrades your paint over time. When you decontaminate properly, you're removing that embedded contamination, that dirt that's worked its way into the paint and is not being released by washing. You're removing that off.
Okay, let's talk about water, because I once had a client as a detailer and he had this vinyl wrap all over his nice Raptor truck, 6-figure truck. And he's like, I just hosed it off with water. And I mean, it is just full of water spots that just baked in after he hosed it off in the direct sunlight. Your vehicle, it knows that water is a solvent. It doesn't like water, Ivan. It's so paradoxical to the average person who doesn't think about car washing and detailing every second of every day like we do. Why does our car hate water?
Well, a few things. Water, moisture causes rust. But in the detailing world, we're not we're not flooding the car with water, hopefully. That being said, water by itself, and I've heard the same thing, I've seen the same thing. There are some companies that say, once you have our coating on the vehicle, all you need to do is hose it off and drive away. That's a great way of ruining your car. You need to do a contact wash. Water is not enough. Yes, water, when it rains, my cars look better. They're coated. Are they clean? No. Do they look clean from 10 feet away? Yes, they do. When they get close, though, they're not clean. Rainwater and tap water are two completely different things. I've never gotten water spots on my cars, even though they're out in the rain all the time, because rainwater doesn't cause water spots. Now, if you have an excessive buildup of dirt on your car, rainwater can cause water spots, but it's not the water causing the water spots in that time frame. It's the dirt that's on your car, contains minerals, it dries, that's what causes the water spots. So keeping your car clean is going to help. Now, excessive use of water through excessive pressure, not a good thing. Just rinsing your car off, not a good thing. Do we need water to wash? Yes. Do we need to rinse when we're washing? Yes, we do. But we need to be wary of just letting water sit on the surface. And another part of the car that really doesn't benefit from water is the interior. I see detailers that every car they do, irregardless of what condition it is, they get out the extractor or they get out the steamer and they just fill the interior with moisture. Your interior is not designed to be wet. Your interior definitely does not like moisture. That can cause mold, that can cause all sorts of things. It takes long to dry, and you can actually damage the fabrics. You can damage the carpet by using too much liquid.
Yes, you can, Ivan. Word to the wise there. People love polishing. It adds a brightness to the paint. It deep cleans the paint. People often see the blemishes on their paint and it drives them crazy. So they want to polish out every scratch. And I know we don't polish out scratches, Ivan. We can talk about that in a second.
Yep.
But why does our car actually hate polishing?
Every time we polish paint, we're removing paint. We're not improving it, or we're improving the visual aspect of it. But we're actually, to do so, we're removing paint. No detailer has ever in the history of detailing removed a scratch. What they have done is removed clear coat or paint or whatever, decade we're looking at here, down to the level of the scratch. So a scratch in paint, trying to polish it away, is like arguing with an idiot. The idiot always wins because they have more experience. What happens is when you're polishing, you have a scratch. Let's say that scratch is 10 microns deep. When that scratch is no longer there, that means for whatever the width of your pad around that scratch, you've removed 10 microns of paint. If it's 20 microns deep, you've removed 20 microns, and you just keep damaging the paint. So every time we polish our car, we're damaging it. Now, little caveat here. Depending on where you are in the world, polishing can mean different things. And when we talk polishing, we're talking abrasive polishing. Some people think adding a wax is polishing. And that's just the lexicon. That's the way it's described in different countries, different regions. So if to you polishing is applying a wax, by all means, go for it. Do it every day if you want. But if it's polishing within a machine and abrasive, that type of polishing, your paint definitely does not like that.
Your paint also doesn't like? Now, barbecue, chicken wings, a good dry rub is nice. But dry rubbing
Yes.
your paint. So I see people just be like, just got a little dust on it, I'm going to grab my microfiber towel and just rub on it. Or the car dusters just to dust it off. The paint doesn't like that either.
Yeah. No. You need lubrication. And we mentioned it before, water is not lubrication. And definitely just throwing water and drying the car off, not a good thing either. But dry rubbing is definitely not good. That microfiber will, for the first 2 or 3 inches you're using it, it will pick up that dust. Great. Then after that, it's using that dust to scratch your car. So the microfiber itself won't damage the car. It's the dust it's picking up off your car that it's going to use then to further damage your vehicle. And those car dusting things, let's just ignore those completely. Please, if you have one, the best thing you can do for your car is put it in the garbage.
We do have a waterless wash, and here's the simplest way to think about it. If you use our waterless wash, it should be on a basically clean car, one that you just cleaned, you drove to the car show, it's a little dusty, and you use waterless wash with a nice plush dry wash media. If you're going to use our rinseless wash, use it with a wet wash media. It's the simplest way to think about it. We could go down the rabbit hole if you'd like. Waterless wash has its place. It has a narrow lane. It's great for that. Most of the time, if your car gets a little dirty, the best thing I like to recommend, Ivan, feel free to chime in, is a proper wash. Chemical rinse chemical, foam rinse foam. It's a sandwiching of the rinse in between the chemical application, and then it's after you apply that second chemical application like a rinseless wash, then you do your contact wash, you dry. It's the safest way to do it.
100%. The waterless wash, we have one in our line. It's a necessary tool to have, but it is not a tool for every situation. You're not going to use a waterless wash if you've been out mudding with your Jeep. You're not going to use a waterless wash if you have a 1/4 inch of bugs caked on the front of your car. You're not going to use the waterless wash on your wheels when they're just caked in brake dust. No, waterless wash, like you said, you washed your car the night before, you drove it to the car show, it has a bit of dust on it. That is a great case for waterless wash. You own a car dealership. The car is in the showroom. It's got smudge marks from people touching the car. Great case for waterless wash. You store your car in your garage and it just gets dust between drives. Same thing. Great case for waterless wash. Waterless wash is not for cleaning dirty cars. Waterless wash is for improving or making clean cars a little bit cleaner.
Yeah, it's a great way of putting it. I find it using it on door jambs and the faces of my wheels a lot. I don't use it on paint a ton, but again, I don't have a showroom. I don't have a showroom car. I use it when I use it, and I'm grateful to have it. I would 100% recommend having waterless wash in your arsenal. It's just not the thing to reach for at every turn. All right. The things that your car hates, man, this last one is kind of a fun one. Your car hates being still, Ivan.
Right. And, I'm a big proponent of driving. I love driving. And detailing is fun. Detailing is enjoyable, but detail your car so you can go out and drive it. Having a car just sitting there, not using the car is actually hard on the car. It's hard on the suspension. It's hard on the tires. It's hard on every part of the vehicle. There's a lot of rubber seals in your engine. There's a lot of rubber seals, in and around everywhere in the car. There's rubber on the tires. That rubber needs to move. It dries out and it cracks if it doesn't move. So you want to drive your vehicle on a regular basis. And that's why we own vehicles. If you own a vehicle just to look at it, great. But get out there and drive it. Enjoy it more. So shorten your wash routine so you can go take a drive. That's something that I've been, pushing efficiency for decades in this industry, and as much for the hobbyist as for the professional. If it takes you 4 hours to wash your car, bring it down to 2 and go for a 2-hour drive. You're still spending the same amount of time with your car, but you're having a lot more fun doing it.
Ivan, if folks want to learn how to wash more quickly, we actually have a real-time wash where in about 21 minutes, we wash, decontaminate, and protect the vehicle. If they want to watch that video, I don't know, I'm kind of guessing, but do you know where they could find it?
Right up here.